Hey guys, what's going on? Jeb here, and in today's video, we are going to be discussing one of the most important concepts that no one talks about in the cryptocurrency markets. In this video, we're going to be discussing something that I have been calling the underlying intrinsic value of Bitcoin for the last 2.5 years or so. I've discussed this concept at length in many different videos, but I've never really made a dedicated video to explain it, and since we had to pre-record today's video, which I am now recording yesterday from when you're watching this, which is today for me, nevertheless, this is a pre-recorded video. Hopefully nothing crazy happened. If it did, we'll discuss it tomorrow. But in this video, we're going to be talking about what the underlying intrinsic value of Bitcoin is and why it is so important that you understand it for your long-term predictions about where Bitcoin is going and for your investments, which I encourage all of you to have. Guys, I promise you're going to get a lot of good value out of this video. If you do enjoy today's video, consider hitting that like and subscribe button. It's going to really help out the channel if you do that, and I'd be very appreciative if you did. Before we get started, I'll also mention the Cryptocurrency Technical Analysis Academy. As you guys know, CT2A is on sale. You can use the June 2020 coupon code down below at checkout to get $40 off on the Academy. CT2A will be on sale through the end of this month. If you'd like to learn everything you need to know about technical analysis so that you can get started trading and profiting in these markets, I encourage you to click the link down below. More on that at the end of the video, guys, but for now, though, without much further ado, let's go ahead and dive right on into it. Let's start with defining our terms. What exactly is the underlying intrinsic value of Bitcoin? When you think about Bitcoin and you think about the Bitcoin chart, you're probably thinking about price action. You're probably thinking about dollars. You're probably thinking about green and red candles. But there's something that you can't see on the price action chart of Bitcoin, and that's kind of what Bitcoin should be trading at. Let's say, for example, let's take it to an extreme to make a point. Let's say Bitcoin crashed all the way down to $1, but nothing fundamentally changed. Would you say that Bitcoin is oversold? Yeah, you would. Why are you saying that? That's because Bitcoin is below that fundamental value that it has. Now, I understand we can get into arguments about Bitcoin having no fundamental value. It's just a piece of code. At the end of the day, gold has no fundamental value either by that same logic. It's just a certain atomic structure of an element. It has no fundamental value. We can take that argument to stocks, to ETFs. We can take that argument to borders on a map. You can take that argument anywhere. Fundamental value is an understanding by a group of people, so hopefully you understand that we're applying the exact same logic that goes for the rest of human civilization to Bitcoin. A lot of people make that argument, and I just don't think it holds water. So if Bitcoin were to go down to $1, let's say it just flash crash 99.9% down to $5, would you say that Bitcoin is oversold? Well, yes, obviously you'd say Bitcoin is oversold because we've been trading above $5 for the last decade. It wouldn't make a lot of sense for Bitcoin to be trading at only $5. Now let's say that Bitcoin has been trading at $9,500 or around $8,000 to $12,000 for the last 4 or 5 months. Where would you say the fundamental value for Bitcoin is? Probably somewhere around where we've been trading at for the last 8 to 12 months. But now let's zoom out and get even more accurate with the actual chart. Let's say that Bitcoin rallied to $20,000. Was $20,000 the actual underlying fundamental value of Bitcoin? No, absolutely not, because Bitcoin retraced 60% in 60 days right there. Bitcoin was obviously overbought. So at the end of 2017, we could ascertain that the fundamental value of Bitcoin was below $20,000. We could also ascertain that at the beginning of 2018, Bitcoin's fundamental value was above $3,000 because of how quickly Bitcoin kicked off from there. So somewhere in this region is where the fundamental value of Bitcoin is. And honestly, guys, as far as this concept of fundamental value that we're talking about is concerned, that's about as far as we can get into technical definitions of what the fundamental value of Bitcoin is. I think we can also all agree that it's probably over $5,000 because of how sharply and quickly Bitcoin bounced from $5,000. But now let me ask you a question. If Bitcoin ran to $20,000 at the end of 2017, and so much has developed in the last 2.5 years ever since we hit $20,000 at the end of 2017, what will that fundamental value have done? Well, remember, defining our terms, what exactly is the fundamental value? It's the understanding between everybody that knows about Bitcoin about how much it ought to be worth based on the industry that is supporting it and based on the investment that we're seeing go into it. Ever since 2017, I think we can all agree the industry for Bitcoin has grown exponentially. Lightning Network has gotten massively bigger. The security of the network has gotten huge. Mining power has gone up. Hash rate's up almost 100 times. Not 100%, 100 times since then. We are seeing major power players stepping into the space, the likes of which we had never seen before. Companies like PayPal, TD Ameritrade, ICE, the Intercontinental Exchange that owns a $20 trillion stock exchange you may have heard of before called the New York Stock Exchange, has backed being created. That's actually already created. Massive. and I do mean massive power players, have been stepping into the cryptocurrency space for the last 2.5 years, ever since Bitcoin hit $20,000. Another change that we've seen is that less people are in the space. So that's obviously not a good sign, but what it does mean is that even though significantly, substantially less people and less media attention is in the space than was there in $20,000, we're still trading at $10,000. I guarantee you that Bitcoin has far less than half of the media attention that it did at the end of 2017. I remember, I was here in the space at the time. The amount of inflows of people moving into the space has been cut probably by 90% since that time. Both of those metrics are down hugely. The industry and the blockchain and everything supporting this space have rallied massively, but where is Bitcoin? It's only trading at half of all-time high. With all of those fundamentals developing in the background and all of those closer, more relevant, more kind of hands-on fundamentals of people inflowing into the space, volatility and influx of volume and money and investment into the space and media attention into the space has gone down massively, but Bitcoin's still trading at half of where it hit all-time high during a catastrophic global economic crisis, by the way. And I think you'll understand that the fundamental value of Bitcoin has gone up significantly ever since the end of $20,000 2017. I hope you guys understand what I mean when I say that it's very difficult to calculate exactly what the fundamental value of Bitcoin is. It's obviously a very nebulous concept, but when Bitcoin was only able to hit $12,000 as an all-time high and correct it for a year and a half, and then 3 years later we hit $20,000 as an all-time high, would you say that that nebulous term of fundamental value has gone up? Obviously you would. The lowest low back here was still over 10 times lower than the previous low that we saw at $3,500 or so. A lot of people in the comment section fight me on this idea of underlying intrinsic value, saying that Bitcoin has no underlying intrinsic value. Well, I guess that's true, in the same way that smartphones have no underlying intrinsic value. Honestly, pretty much all of us, if we had the right experience, could go live in the woods for the rest of our lives and eat berries and drink water from streams, and we'd be perfectly fine. Therefore, phones have no underlying intrinsic value because you don't need them to live. Gold has no underlying intrinsic value because you can't eat it. You can't drink gold. You can't really make any useful clothes out of gold. You don't need gold to survive. It's just a part of the economy. It has no underlying intrinsic value. Same thing with stocks. Same thing with cars. Same things with televisions. But we all agree that they have value, therefore they have value. In fact, the exact same argument that Bitcoin has no underlying intrinsic value is the exact same argument that you can use for the US dollar, which is true, by the way, but it doesn't matter for the calculation of price action of the US dollar. Even though it's just paper and it's fiat and it has nothing backing it up, it does have underlying value because everyone agrees that it does. How many people agree that Bitcoin has value? I'll tell you how many. A lot more than did at the end of 2017, and Bitcoin was worth more at the end of 2017, which means that the potential all-time high for Bitcoin now is much higher than it was back then. The reason I'm making this video is because you need to understand the actual growth of the important metrics in the space are not shown on a price action graph. They're shown on 200 or 300 different graphs that you can find on different websites. But generally speaking, the underlying intrinsic value of Bitcoin, is what I call it, has gone up substantially, which allows for Bitcoin's price to go up substantially. And because of that, this is a very important thing for you to understand for your investment portfolio. By the way, speaking about investments, I would never encourage any of you to put more than 50% of your total portfolio into trading. I have the vast majority of my money in investments right now, and most professional traders will tell you that unless you are a hardcore expert at trading, then you should probably keep at least half of your money in investments. So it's very important that you understand what we're talking about here. Guys, I can make more videos like this explaining concepts in the space if you would like. I know a lot of you guys prefer technical analysis, but if you'd like more videos like this where I'm simply voicing my opinion on different things, I would love to do those. Let me know down below. Anyway, guys, that is going to wrap it for today's video. Before I go, though, I do want to mention C2A real quick. For any of you guys trying to learn technical analysis, here's the deal. You can spend the next couple of years learning it on your own. A lot of people in the comment section will tell you, courses are wastes of money. You can learn all of this on your own. Yeah, you can. It's not a matter of whether or not I have some kind of secret knowledge. Guys, I don't have the fountain of youth or the fountain of Bitcoin truth here in C2A. I never claimed to do that. C2A is not about teaching you something that you can't find online. I learned it all the hard way, and it took thousands of hours. It probably took me 2,000 or 3,000 hours to learn everything that's in C2A on my own because I had to teach myself. You can go through C2A and complete it in about 11 or 12 hours of content and save yourself a couple of years of work and a very high likelihood that you're going to throw in the towel early on. It's worth every penny, guys. Would you want someone working on your car who has never had any experience working on cars? Would you want someone doing heart surgery on you who never learned anything in school with some kind of formulated curriculum from an expert in this field just because they learned how to do it on YouTube? No, you wouldn't want to do that. In the same way that you wouldn't want to put your own hard-earned money on the line trading in Bitcoin and cryptocurrency without knowing what you're doing. It's very important for you to invest in your own education and in your own mind and in your own knowledge and in your own wisdom. And CT2A is designed to help you guys help yourselves as much as you possibly can and learn as much about the industry as you can, as quickly as you can, so that you can get started profiting in these markets. Guys, the learning curve for learning Bitcoin and cryptocurrency technical analysis, if you've never worked in any other markets, is like damn near vertical. It is hard, don't get me wrong. CT2A was designed to cut down on that learning curve and make the chance of you leaving the space because you got frustrated at not knowing what you're doing a lot lower. Because I've seen a lot of people do that. They work on it for 6 months and they say, oh, well, this just doesn't work. It's not that it doesn't work, it's that you don't know what you're doing. If you knew what you were doing, it would work, and if you knew what you were doing and it worked, then you would be making money and you'd be happy and you wouldn't have left. But if you don't know what you're doing, and you're taking forever to learn it, because it does take a long time to learn it the hard way, you're probably going to throw in the towel, and you don't want to do that on Bitcoin because you're going to regret it. I promise you that. So guys, if you want to learn technical analysis, I encourage you to invest in your education. You don't even have to do it with me. If you find a better product, go take it, tell me how they're better, and we'll make sure that CT2A beats it. But of everything on the market that I have found, everything on the market that people have told me about, CT2A is the best product out there, and I can say that with confidence because that's what people tell me. That's what our students tell me. If you'd like to hear their testimony, join the Discord server down below, and you can get their take on that down there. Anyway, guys, that is going to wrap it for today's video. If you did enjoy today's video, consider hitting that like and subscribe button, and also let me know if you'd like to see more videos like this. I'm more than happy to make them. For now, though, guys, like I said, that is going to wrap it for today's video. Before I go, though, I do just first want to thank each and every single last one of you for watching, as always, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.
Oh, I got a real good feeling.